Four-man rush. Armstrong to the sideline. Here he comes, Abdullah. Wow. And Abdullah still on his feet. Westerkamp throws a block. Amir Abdullah all the way home. Touchdown, Nebraska.
College sporting events are the time of camaraderie between the players and the fans. Victories such as this one have thousands cheering and celebrating the athletic performance.
But what if I told you there was more to this story than meets the eye?
Captured on those films were practices where Coach Rice repeatedly threw a basketball at players, striking at least one in the head. Off camera, Rice can be heard shouting, using gay slurs.
Toxic masculinity refers to the social expectation that men have to fit the stereotypical masculine gender roles and are restricted on the kinds of emotions they can express. They are expected to be tough, dominant, and aggressive, told to act like men and not to show pain.
Our documentary will focus on how coaches contribute to enforcing gender roles and toxic masculinity within intercollegiate athletics. We will be placing a critical lens on how coaches and administrators within colleges perpetuate stereotypes surrounding gender norms and performance upon their athletes. We hope to demonstrate the lasting mental health issues, physical traumas, and damaging ideologies that result from this toxic culture within college campuses.
There are many coaches who defend their treatment of athletes as solid coaching. They explain that they are just trying to make their athletes mentally and physically stronger. They use this type of treatment to motivate their athletes to do better. However, coaches who rule by negative motivation do a lot to reduce the self-esteem and motivation of the young athletes. They create an unsafe learning environment where they use fear, humiliation, and degrading, disrespectful behaviors as teaching tools. Verbal abuse is the most common, and it varies from name-calling, hurtful comments regarding the athlete's performance, swearing at players, and comments meant to demean an athlete's integrity. This can cause a long-term effect on the athletes, which may cause low self-esteem, anxiety, a decrease in motivation, and insufficient performance in their sport.
In the sense of coach is yelling at you to go block at someone, right? And you've been trying, so you keep trying to block, but they keep getting past you, and then you keep getting told, like, what are you, a bitch? Like, why are you going to let them get past you? Like, is he going to just get around you like that? Like, grow some balls, just some terms like that. Masculinity and everything would kind of be like, I remember in football, it always has to be, like, trying to prove that you're, like, a bigger person than everybody else. So, like, you'd always have to basically, like, just try to show, like, the other person's a bitch, in a sense. And, like, over time, like, I'm not saying, like, this affected me, but I know that it affected people over time where it's kind of, like, they made themselves feel lesser because it'd be like, oh, like, go do this shit, like, are you a pussy, or, like, grow some balls and go do that type of thing. And, like, if they felt like they weren't able to do it, then they felt like they kind of failed in a sense of being a man. You know what I'm saying?
These topics discussed illustrate how toxic masculinity and violent gender performance contribute to the athlete's forced assimilation to these aggressive and destructive masculine gender norms to be considered a true man. Unfortunately, this behavior too often is manifested in sexual assault and misconduct on the part of the athlete.
The Chicago Tribune reports the alleged victim, a freshman at the time, told police he was in his dorm room when the five duct taped his hands and feet, put a pillowcase on his head, threw him in a car, attempted to sodomize him with an object, and then dumped him half naked in an off-campus park. Norton calls it a shame.
I mean, I know the guys personally. I know they didn't have any ill intent. I think it's one of those situations where you get in a group and you're having a good time and somebody takes something away that you're not intending, and it ends up hurting somebody.
Derogatory language, whether it's said playfully or not, has a great impact mentally on people in general. However, this is seen more so in athletics because they constantly live and breathe in such a hostile environment. Constantly hearing and engaging in derogatory language like "don't be a pussy" or "you play like a pussy" becomes the norm, and the athletes are eventually trained to think that derogatory language is okay. One of our interviewees claimed that it's sort of a brotherhood and they can actually tease each other this way, which makes them closer. If they can't tease you, that means they aren't close teammates.
Toxic masculinity contributes to males feeling a sense of entitlement and lack of repercussions for the danger and harm they cause others. The alarming sexual assault and hazing statistics within intercollegiate athletics that we have provided illustrate that this toxic ideology within locker rooms leads to male athlete privilege.
Toxic masculinity has been an unfortunate side effect of a high social demanding environment on impressionable first years. Between the coaches and third and fourth year athletes inadvertently supporting these behaviors with negative reinforcements pressures the incoming freshmen to assimilate to this masculine culture. Whereas issues of toxic heteronormative masculine culture may stem at the college athletic experience, it follows to the future of student athletes and their careers.
Properly training coaches on how to train athletes without degrading their masculinity and bringing forth awareness of the effects that toxic masculinity has on college athletes and people as a whole inside and outside institutions can help alleviate the negative effects of toxic masculinity.
So the next time you see some man, some young boy struggling with the tears, with the emotions, boy, you think what would happen in this world if we walked up to that person and said, "Way to be a man," because men live out of the fullness of who and what they are. They live out of their hearts. And somewhere we've got to change the cultural milieu in here to make sure that when we tell a boy to be a man, we give him a clear, compelling definition. Masculinity, relationships, commitment to a cause. Thank you.